Hi, I'm Detective Inspector Paul Hall of the Cyber Resilience Centre for Wales. I'm joined today with Detective Sergeant Matthew Phillips of South Wales Police cybercrime team. The reason for this catch-up is to discuss the importance of reporting cybercrime to the police and action fraud, as cybercrime is an underreported crime. We will discuss what a police investigation will look like and also what are the most common trends that cybercriminals will use to target businesses. I'm going now to hand over to Detective Sergeant Matthew Phillips to introduce himself, but also give an explanation and an overview of the South Wales Police cybercrime team.
Thank you, Paul. First of all, thank you for having me. My name is Matthew Phillips. I'm a Detective Sergeant with South Wales Police, and I'm responsible for a very small but dedicated, passionate, enthusiastic team comprising of specially trained detectives, police officers, and members of police staff. And our role, working in conjunction with other stakeholders and law enforcement partners such as the CRC, Cyber Resilience Centre, is to help provide the response to cybercrime within South Wales and help protect and safeguard the communities of South Wales from harm. We use a 4P approach. We look to protect the public by providing the latest and most current up-to-date advice provided by the National Cyber Security Centre. We look to prepare businesses and organisations alongside the CRC, making sure that they're ready and adequately prepared in the event of a cyber attack. We also look to prevent individuals from becoming involved in cybercrime using their useful talents for good and repurposing them in that way. And we look to pursue offenders wherever possible. So where if you've been a victim of a cybercrime and you report that to us, we investigate the matter, we'll do everything in our power, work in conjunction with other law enforcement partners to go after those offenders wherever they are.
Crime figures suggest that cybercrime is underreported. Why is it important that businesses report to action fraud and the police that they become a victim of a cyber attack?
Yes, Paul, you're spot on. Unfortunately, government research still tells us that reporting of cybercrime is relatively uncommon, and only 2/5, the latest government research tells us that only 2/5 of businesses reported to people outside of their organisations, and the vast majority of those cases, just cyber security companies, obviously to try and help them. And I completely understand that. But from a law enforcement perspective, we want to understand the threats that you're facing, help protect others from those types of threats as well, and also protect you. As law enforcement, we've got a wealth of options available to us. And whilst you're looking after protecting your business and looking to get yourself back on your feet and respond to that incident, we can be looking at law enforcement to the wealth of opportunities available to us, intelligence sources, information, and that just helps inform your decision making during a live incident. And it could be that missing piece of the puzzle that helps you make the right decision rather than the wrong decision that affects your business and obviously your stakeholders.
What would a victim expect when they report a cybercrime to the police, and what does the investigation look like?
So there's a couple of different ways you can report an incident to law enforcement. You can report it to the National Cyber Security Centre online, and they will be best, but they're well placed to provide you with technical advice and support and how to respond to that incident, tell you about the motivation of the attacker and help coordinate that law enforcement response. You should also primarily report the matter to action fraud, and you can do that either online via the online reporting tool or also by calling the telephone number, which is 0300 123 2040, and that's a dedicated 24/7 service that is dedicated to provide businesses with that support. So by reporting it to action fraud, they'll gather as much information about the incident as possible, review it, and then task that out to local law enforcement. We'll receive that report, make contact with you in order to investigate that report and assess it, and try and understand the scale and scope of the attack. Once we've done that, and we understand how best to help you and safeguard your needs and the community's needs, we will look to work alongside you, and that's really important. We're not looking to undermine or anything like that. We want to support you, get back on your feet, and in the process of doing so, gather as much evidence as possible so that in the event we are able to pursue those offenders, we can do so. By reporting it to law enforcement, we've got a wealth of options available to us. We've got law enforcement contacts, not just across England and Wales, but internationally, Europol, Interpol, and US Secret Service. We can utilise those resources in order to help inform your decision making, but more crucially, we just want to support you and make sure that you are get back on your feet.
What does your team see as the most common methods used by cyber criminals to target businesses?
It can depend upon the nature of your business and how you operate, of course, but government research tells us the most prominent attack vector is phishing emails. Phishing emails is just a form of social engineering. What they're trying to do is get you to click on a link or click on an attachment, open that up and compromise either the account you're using or compromise the network to try and either steal your data or commit some other kind of attack. One of the secondary attacks that come from that is something called ransomware. Ransomware, they encrypt all the files on your computer and they'll hold it to ransom. So if you haven't got a backup, they'll try and make you pay a ransom in order to get a decryption key. And we've seen that happen time and time again, and it has a massive impact financially and reputationally on businesses. So those are probably the most common attack vectors that we're seeing. Because of businesses working more remotely now because of COVID, we're seeing a lot of people changing their procedures for working very remotely, trying to log into their networks from their home. Unfortunately, in their haste with trying to set up these procedures, sometimes cybersecurity has been lacking, and as a result, it leaves vulnerability. So it's important to make sure you're ready and have a complete understanding of the security risk posed to your business.
Having mentioned phishing emails, what can a business do to protect themselves from being a victim of a phishing attack?
Off the top of my head, there's a couple of different things that a business can do. First of all, you can look at training your staff, making sure they're aware of the risks posed by phishing attacks, educating them so that they know not to click a link, to be suspicious. That helps them individually, so you're helping your staff to protect themselves, especially if you think of bringing your own device into business networks and things like that, and the risk that may pose. But it also helps protect the business because they're less likely to click on that link that might compromise your network or compromise the account and puts the business at risk. You can combat that in educating your staff by working in conjunction with the Cyber Resilience Centre, working alongside our regional partners to run these phishing exercises so that the staff won't be aware that this is taking place. And it's very much like a fire drill. Do it on a regular basis, your staff become more aware, more resilient, and it'll prevent that from happening. The other thing you can do is obviously working with your own IT provider, make sure that you've got sandboxing in place. So that means that any sort of links or attachments, anything suspicious are blocked, but also any attachments that are clicked, they are opened up in a safe environment that won't compromise your network.
What do you believe are the best ways a business can protect themselves and make it more resilient against a cyber attack?
I mentioned backing up your data, and that's a really important factor. If you're a business, you've got to think about what files and material matter most to you. What could you not do without in the event of, let's say, a fire or a natural disaster? So if you were subject to a ransomware attack, somebody came in and tried to encrypt all your files, all you'd have to do is revert to your backup once you've identified that point of compromise so it doesn't happen again. That means your business continuity carries on nice and smoothly, and you haven't got to worry or consider having to pay or whether or not to pay the ransom that they're demanding. There are other things to consider as well. Password security is really important. The national advice for passwords is use 3 random words. That gives you a really long string of characters and makes it really hard and difficult to brute force and break into the account. But to offer further resilience to your passwords, use 2-factor authentication. Using 2-factor authentication just means that if somebody tries to get into your account, even if they know the password, you've got that extra layer of security that means that you can authorize or rather stop and prevent somebody from getting access. And it's just that extra layer of security provides that extra reassurance to you and your business that those who are out there trying to get into your accounts aren't able to do so.
Thanks, Matt, for today. Really appreciate you taking time out from your very busy role and giving an explanation of the importance of reporting cybercrime, but at the same time explaining what a cyber investigation would look like. You've explained it from a South Wales perspective, however this would be replicated in Gwent Police, Dyfed-Powys and also North Wales Police as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Paul.
The following links will give you some additional information regarding what you can do to make your business more resilient against a cyber attack.